Hello, welcome back to Dear Source, your ascendancy hotline, your daily dose of spiritual guidance, where we dive into real life questions and struggles, using ancient wisdom and universal principles to find clarity, peace, and alignment. Whether you're navigating relationships, inner conflict, or seeking purpose, this is the space where we honor your journey with compassion, non-judgment, and insights. Drawing from the universal laws, A Course in Miracles, the Law of One, and the Hermetic Principles, we are here to help you find and connect with your truth and elevate your path to healing and growth. Now let's explore today's letter and connect with the source of wisdom. So today's letter reads, Dear Source, I've been on an intense spiritual journey, and while it's been transformative for me, I'm struggling to make sense of what's happening in the world around me. The events unfolding in the 3D world feel chaotic, and I find it hard to reconcile them with the spiritual truths I'm learning. It's as if there's a disconnect between the higher understanding I'm working towards and the reality I'm living in. I know that everything happens for a reason, but I'm finding it difficult to figure out what the lessons in all of this are. How can I take what's going on in the world and use it as a spiritual lesson for my own growth? I want to understand how to integrate these experiences without feeling overwhelmed by the negativity. Please help me navigate these challenging times and see the bigger pictures. Sincerely, Lost Between Two Worlds. What? Thank you, Lost Between Two Worlds. What a beautiful letter. And I think so on point with where we're at. Again, there's always divine timing with all of this. There's never a coincidence. And so I hope this message reads all the people that feel this way. You know, that external world right now feels very, very chaotic. I definitely can relate and understand that. And it's how do we look at what's going on in the world today as part of our spiritual evolution, part of our divine path and truth. And there is so much that can be said about this. So I am assuming we will not get to everything today. But what I would share is how do we, when we look at the universe, we are in relationship with everything. So everything is something for us to learn from. We are in relationship with that. And so one of the first things I would just really start with the reflection of is, what is your relationship with how you are taking in information? You know, when we think about what is our relationship with social media, how do we see our relationship with social media? What's the purpose of social media? What is social media here to tell us? And it's not about labeling things as good or bad or right or wrong or having any judgments around it. It's about understanding what is my relationship with it, and in interacting with it, because it's in our world, how do I have the right relationship with it where I don't have judgment, where I'm not being triggered, where all those things are kind of at ease and at peace. And so we can take a look, like when you think about like, okay, what am I taking in that's making me feel like the world is so chaotic? Like, where am I hearing that from? What is that? Is that just an internal feeling that I'm having because I am spiritual and I am empathic and I am tapped in? So how do we use some of our God-given gifts as discernment to really tune in and really get still with them and not be necessarily reacting to who or what is saying what, but what does this event in the world, what is this telling me within myself that I have an opportunity to heal? So, I mean, I can probably give you lots of examples, but, I can think of, my own relationship with social media is, am I taking in consciousness and am I giving out consciousness? Again, only what we are not giving can be lacking in any situation. So are you giving out into the world? Are you giving out into social media world? Let's just use that as one example. I don't know why that's come up, but um, am I giving into that platform what I want to receive back from that? So am I giving consciousness? Am I giving love in order to receive love back? Am I in an energy of angst or anxiety? And the truth is we are the creators of our own reality. So the more we feel angst, anxiety, in whatever that internal frequency that we're at, the beauty is that the universe is only going to reflect back to us what our internal state is. And so when we look at the world and we see the chaos, we have to realize that that's a reflection back to us internally of what work do we have to do to feel at peace and feel at ease. And when we each go inside, when each one of us turns within and starts to do the internal work of raising our own vibration, of focusing on our own Christ consciousness, our own unity consciousness, our own consciousness around unconditional love and understanding how the universe is truly working, that it's working in divine cooperation with us, that it's working as one whole that we are projecting out. Like everything in the world is a reflection of our internal compass. So when we are looking at the world and seeing chaos, how are we feeling chaotic inside? How are we solving chaos within our own small little world? It's not the projection out of like, how do we stop, what's going on in the Middle East, for example, from occurring? The way we are going to heal all of that within the world is when each and every one of us as an individual realizes that the healing occurs through us doing our internal work. When I'm at peace, the world around me is going to be at peace. And as we continuously do this work and get more and more and more people to access the next level of consciousness, part of it is it's occurring for us to rise in our consciousness, to us to rise in our oneness. And the way we change the world is through changing ourselves. That's how we change the world. When you access your next degree of consciousness or that internal state of being, you're giving access to every other human around you to access the same. And how we heal the world is through our own individual healing. And so what's going on externally to us is just a mirror for us internally within us. Like it is literally a mirror of how do we heal that within ourselves, because that's what we're being called to do, is the individual healing work, and to not externalize it. The other thing is not to judge it. There's nothing to judge. There's only God here. In the absence of God, I think Albert Einstein said this, that the absence of God is evil. So what do we need to bring more into if we feel like maybe there's this negative perception into the world? Is, are we bringing God into every situation? Like there's nothing that we get to divorce God from, because we are God. We are an emanation of God. So we can't separate ourselves from God. We can't separate ourselves from the universal truths of how we're supposed to operate. We're here to love our neighbor as ourselves. We're here to see every other human and every other thing on this planet as an emanation of God, as part of a divine orchestrated universe that of purely perfect natural intelligence. There's nothing happening by coincidence. Everything is happening for the highest and greatest good of each and every one of us to learn and to elevate and to grow. So there's nothing happening to us. It's happening for us to step into our divinity, to remember who we are, to remember that we are an emanation of God, to remember that our bodies are the temple for God himself. Our DNA spells that. It tells us God eternal within the body. That is what our DNA spells. So when we know like that, and that's our truth, then the world around us is a feedback mechanism of qualifying back to that and understanding, am I being love? Am I being the truest, purest essence of myself? Am I giving nothing but unconditional love to this world? And to know that the times that we are going through right now are helping us reconnect with our divinity. We cannot divorce ourselves from God because we are God. So when we step into the knowingness of we are an emanation of God himself, the only way God can experience himself is through each and every one of us. So there's no way to divorce God from any of our conversations because God is the one that's at work. And anything that we're doing that is perceived of lower vibration, of not of God, is an opportunity for us to learn and to reflect and step more into our divinity and remember the truth of who we are. And when we do not act from our divine state of being, from the Christ consciousness, the unity consciousness, the consciousness of one, the consciousness of unconditional love, the universe is also giving us lessons, karma, to remember that when we don't act from a state of pure beingness, of pure divine love, to acting from a place of pure abundance, that we are all that is, all that ever will be. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. So we are infinite beings. When we remember that and act from that state of being, all the universes can gift us back is nothing but miracles and abundance and high vibrational frequency. Like everything that we are experiencing is a match to our level of frequency. So when you're on, let's say, social media, or you're on news, or whatever you're taking in, that is just a reflection of your vibrational state of being. So if it doesn't align with you, shut it off. You don't need to tap into it. I'm not saying like, let's bury our head in the sands and be ignorant, because God also gifted us the gift of discernment to know truth. We are here to be truth, to know the truth. And why the world right now probably seems more chaotic than it ever has is because the truth is starting to come out. You know, there's a lot of sayings like the truth will set you free. We are here to stand in our truth. We are here to stand in our authenticity. We are here to stand in our highest vibrational frequency. And in our highest vibrational frequency is truth. It's an understanding of who we are, what we know to be true about the universe, about who we are. And any time that we are not in alignment with that truth, we have the perceived reality of chaos. And so what we're getting reflected back to us is, do we know our truth? Are we standing in our truth? Because when people lie, governments lie, you name it, when there is an essence of untruth, we all feel it. And we're here to tap into that. We're not here to judge. Part of also knowing who we are and set aside our ego, the illusion of our separate self, the energy that's been created to work essentially against us, as the Course in Miracle talks about. It's our own energy working against us. If this individual identifying as Aaron perceives that she knows more than God, well, how delusional is that? Like, I'm separate from the Creator then, and I'm not allowing the Creator to work through me as a divine being. Like, we're here to trust and release and surrender into our divinity and allow God, the source divine, to work through us is a magical creator that energy is. And so anytime that we ourselves aren't in our truth, then we can't offer the truth. But also too, when we are in our truth, we are then very perceptive to what's not truthful and what's not in alignment and what doesn't make sense. That's our discernment. And so we are here to step into our truth. We are here to be our light. We are here to shine our light. And we can shine our light so bright without having to be negative or take anybody down. When we shine our light and we stand in the truth of who we are, when we emanate the highest vibration of which God made us manifest to be on this planet, we are going to give access to everybody else shining that truth and holding that frequency. And as each one of us becomes the lighthouse of our own light, of our own frequency that God put us here to be, we're going to keep flipping that switch on around to every other individual. And when we are in that truth and we are the lighthouse, what the lighthouse next to us is doing, and maybe the hue of their light or whatever, like it could be their view on something, whatever that may be, will not shake or move us because we are rooted in the truth of who we are. So the work that we have to do right now is soul work. Each and every one of us has soul work to do. How do we solve what is going on in the external world? Is we have to do the soul work that God put us here to do. Each and every single one of us, because as we step into our truth, we give everybody else access to stand into their truth, and we then hold the frequency of Christ consciousness, once again, unity consciousness on this planet, which is what we came here to do. Why do we have masters like Jesus to follow? Because he was pointing us back to this is the truth. Not he, the identified self of Christ, the energy of the consciousness that he ascended to is the way, the truth, and the light. Seeing ourselves as one with everyone and everything else, and acting, allowing the universe to work through us is what we came here to do. And we are here to overcome our ego. That is what we are here to transcend. That is what we are here to essentially allow to die and to move into our divine state of being. So the world is just a beautiful lens and a beautiful mirror that's teaching us, how do I love unconditionally in every interaction and everything that I do? And how do I give to the world through that state of consciousness? Because in my giving, I will receive back onto me exactly what I am giving out. And so my call to you, lost between two worlds, is to stand into your divinity, to stand into your remembrance, to stand into your truth, and to allow the other stuff to fall away and to just be a reminder of I am here to shine my light, my frequency, for me to be an example so that others can access that same thing. For us to suspend judgment, for us to be an allowance, and for us to really come into the truth of who we are. The work now is about our divinity as a human species and a human race. It's not about anything else. When we come into the remembrance of who we are, everything falls into place. Our rights are given to us by God. They're not given to us by any other entity. They are given to us by our Maker, by who we are. We are here to just remember our divinity, and that's what the world is pointing us back to and turning us inwardly, so that we might step in to a higher, greater state of being. And as we transcend and as we do that, we will heal the world. We will heal the world. Light is always greater than darkness, because there is no such thing as darkness. There's only a void of light. So let's turn on our light by stepping into our truth and remembering our divinity. So thank you, Lost Between Two Worlds. I love your letter, and let's use all this as positive fuel for us to step into the next density of consciousness that we came here to be as a human species. So thank you for joining us today in our episode of Dear Source, Your Ascendancy Hotline, where we align spiritual principles with real-world experience. Remember, no matter the challenges you face, or maybe we face as a human collective, peace, clarity, and wisdom are always available when you connect with your higher self. If today's discussion resonated with you and you're seeking deeper, personalized guidance, I invite you to book a private session with me. Together, we can explore your spiritual path and unlock the answers that you've been searching for. And if you're ready to connect with like-minded spiritual community, join us at this Ascendancy Collective, where we support each other in our growth, healing, and ascension. You don't have to walk this path alone. Join us and let's rise together. Until next time, trust the process, honor your truth, and stay connected to Source.